Imagine you're standing in a room full of mirrors, but instead of reflecting your face, they reflect your fears, your expectations, your beliefs about how life is supposed to be. And every time you try to change something out there, your job, your relationship, your body, your purpose, the mirror just keeps showing you the same story, slightly rearranged. It's like you're living inside a projection, and the more you chase solutions on the outside, the more exhausted and disconnected you feel on the inside. Sound familiar? Welcome to the Law of Mentalism, the first and most foundational Hermetic law, and the one that modern science, quantum physics, and even Carl Jung quietly nod to, without ever quite saying it out loud. All is mind. The universe is mental. That's what the ancient Hermetic texts said. And if you've ever felt like the world responds to your inner state, or like your thoughts somehow pre-live your reality, you've brushed up against this law without even knowing it. But let's get something straight from the beginning. This law isn't just about positive thinking. It's not about manifesting cars or soulmates through wishful vision boards. It's not another spiritual bypass wrapped in shiny words. It's about reality itself, and how your mind, your actual consciousness, isn't just observing life. It's shaping it, bending it, looping it back to you like those mirrors in the room. But here's the question. If your mind is truly that powerful, why does it feel like you're stuck in patterns you didn't choose? Why do you still feel drained, anxious, disconnected, despite all your awareness? Why does life sometimes feel like it's happening to you, not from you? See, the law of mentalism doesn't just hand you the keys to power, it also hands you the mirror. And that mirror shows you something most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Your unconscious mind is running the show. Your wounds, your suppressed fears, your inherited beliefs, your protective stories. They're not just background noise. They're the operating system projecting your reality again and again. So if you've ever wondered, why do I keep attracting the same kind of relationships? Why do I feel like I'm playing small, even when I know better? Why does my reality not match what I say I want? Then you're already standing on the threshold of this law. The law of mentalism says, if you want to change your life, you have to first understand the structure of your mind, not just the conscious thoughts, but the invisible architecture underneath. And here's where it gets interesting. Modern quantum experiments, like the double-slit experiment, suggest that conscious observation affects physical outcomes, which means that your perception isn't passive, it's generative. In simple terms, your mind is the canvas, your beliefs are the paint, and reality is the artwork. So when Hermeticism says the universe is mental, it's not offering a metaphor, it's describing a fundamental truth of existence. Reality is mind stuff, and you are both the dreamer and the dreamed. But before you go trying to think positive or visualize your way to freedom, there's one thing we need to uncover. What's really happening beneath the surface of your mind? What beliefs are you unconsciously feeding into the system every single day? Because once you understand that, you don't just know the law of mentalism, you start living it. And that's where everything begins to shift. So, why don't we live the law of mentalism naturally? What distorts or blocks it? You weren't born doubting your own mind. That came later. You showed up curious, tuned in. Every cry was communication. Every movement was magic. You didn't yet split the inner world from the outer one. They were one. Then you were taught, subtly, repeatedly, that the outer world is more real, that the number in your bank account, the scale under your feet, the validation in someone else's eyes, meant more than what you felt, thought, or knew. This is where the law of mentalism gets blocked, because instead of creating from within, you begin reacting from without. Instead of asking, what am I projecting? You start asking, what's going to happen to me now? That shift from creator to reactor is the beginning of the disconnect. Let's be honest, most of us were trained out of our mental power. The school system taught you to memorize, not to imagine. Media trained your nervous system to compare before you could even think critically. even family with love, pass down generational fears, scarcity, shame. The message: don't trust what's inside you, trust what keeps you safe. And what's safe in the modern world? Approval, belonging, control. So you learn to shape your personality, the persona, as Jung called it, around what others expect. You wear a mask long enough, you forget there's anything underneath it. Now here's the kicker. Your subconscious mind, not your conscious thoughts, is what's feeding the projector. So even when you're saying affirmations like, "I am worthy," if the subconscious still believes you're not, that's the vibration you broadcast. That's the movie that plays. The mentalism disconnect is a trauma response. Most people don't live in alignment with the law of mentalism because their minds aren't free. They're protecting them. Trauma, whether big or subtle, fragments your inner world. Instead of seeing clearly, you start seeing through a filter of survival. You avoid pain, seek approval, numb out when things get too real. You lose contact with your internal source, and if you've never had a moment to pause, to go inward, to question, whose voice is this in my head? Whose expectations am I trying to live up to? Then you're probably living from a mental program that was written by someone else. Culture doubles down. On the illusion, we live in a time where image is reality. Social media rewards performance. Productivity is mistaken for purpose. In that noise, your intuition gets drowned out. Your inner world feels like background static. And without realizing it, you start outsourcing your creative power to the external world. Likes, labels, timelines, outcomes. That's when reality begins to glitch. You get everything you thought you wanted, but it feels hollow. You stay positive to manifest what you think you need, but you're bypassing what your soul actually craves. You spin in circles trying to figure it out, but you're using a mind that was never taught how to tune in, only how to perform. This isn't your fault, but it is your opportunity. The Hall of Mirrors isn't broken. It's just honest mentalism doesn't stop working when you're in pain. It keeps mirroring, not your conscious desires, but your unconscious beliefs, your unhealed wounds, your suppressed fears. You might think you're stuck, but really, the law is doing exactly what it's meant to do, reflecting your internal state back to you, over and over, until you finally turn inward and see it. So the real question becomes, what's been living in your mind that you didn't put there? Who taught you to doubt your power? Who told you life was something that happened to you, not through you? The law of mentalism won't work on your terms until you reclaim the mind that's running the show. And when you do, that's when the reflection begins to change. The unseen consequences. When you forget that your mind is the origin point of everything, you don't just lose clarity, you lose yourself. Not all at once, but slowly in invisible ways. Ways that look normal in this world. Ways that feel like chronic exhaustion for no obvious reason. Anxious mornings where everything feels slightly off. Relationships that keep looping through the same stuck patterns, no matter how much work you do. You're not lazy, you're not broken. You're disconnected from the core signal. Your mind becomes a sponge, not a creator. When you stop seeing your mind as the projector, it becomes a sponge for external input. Every headline, every scroll, every judgment soaks in. You start thinking thoughts that aren't even yours. You worry about things you didn't used to care about. You feel shame for not being ahead by some invisible timeline. You replay past conversations in your head like they hold the key to your worth. You're living inside someone else's script. And the worst part, you can't hear your own voice anymore. Emotional burnout isn't just overwork, it's misalignment. People talk about burnout like it's about doing too much, but more often, it's about believing too little in what you're doing. You're putting energy into jobs, habits, and roles that don't match your internal blueprint. You're saying yes when your body says no. You're making things happen, but nothing feels true. That's not just exhaustion, it's energetic misalignment. And over time, the body rebels. You feel heavy, tired, number, Not because you don't care, but because your system is trying to protect you from living out of sync with your own power. You manifest chaos instead of clarity. Heads up. Here's the gut punch coming at you. Mentalism works either way. If your unconscious mind is cluttered with fear, self-doubt, old programming, that's what you'll see out there. You'll attract people who mirror your insecurities. You'll repeat situations that validate your old story. I'm not enough. I can't trust people. Nothing ever changes. You'll think, why does this keep happening to me? But the real question is, what belief is this reality reflecting? The law isn't punishing you. It's inviting you to see the pattern and then shift it. Life starts to feel like a fog. Without the clarity of your inner world, life gets loud, but nothing cuts through. You find yourself scrolling for answers, reading books but not integrating them, listening to content that inspires you for a moment, but then you're back to square one. Why? Because no external wisdom can land when the inner voice is offline. Without access to your own mental sovereignty, you drift, you react, you wait for signs, for shifts, for something to change. But mentalism doesn't work through waiting. It works through awakening. You become a magnet for the wrong kind of attention. When your internal state is full of self-doubt, confusion, or unprocessed pain, you attract people who feed off of that. Not because you deserve it, but because energy mirrors energy. Narcissists, energy vampires, situations that drain you more than they give. It's not always conscious. But if you don't claim your mental space, something else will. That's the dangerous side of forgetting mentalism. The projector still runs. But now, the real is playing someone else's movie. And eventually, you stop trusting yourself. Not just your thoughts, but your sense of reality. You question your own decisions. You need others to tell you what's right. You wait for signs to confirm every step. This is spiritual dependence disguised as manifestation. And it's not your fault, but it's costing you something precious, your inner authority. So if your life feels a little noisy, a little foggy, a little off, you're not imagining it. That's the cost of living disconnected from the law of mentalism. Not just spiritually, functionally. And the way back isn't about trying harder. It's about reclaiming the projector. The rebellion, how to break free. Thank you for sticking with me this far. If you're still here, you're ready for the real shift. This is where things get exciting. Here's the rebellion. The law of mentalism invites you to realize you're not just caught in the world's chaos, you are creating it. That means the power to change isn't out there, it's inside you. But that also means the overwhelm, the confusion, the invisible pressure, that's on your mental landscape too. It's time to claim it. First, notice how much mental energy you give to things outside your control. News, social media drama, opinions that aren't yours. This mental clutter drains your clarity and freedom. The rebellion starts when you set boundaries around your mental space. Think of it like cleaning your glasses so the world's not blurry anymore. Next, embrace the idea that your thoughts aren't just random, they carry real weight. Thoughts are vibrations. They influence your mood, your decisions, and yes, the reality you experience. When you understand this, you become an active participant, not a passive reactor. How do you do that? Start small. Practice catching a thought that triggers stress or doubt. Pause. Ask yourself, is this my thought or someone else's noise? Then, consciously choose a thought that serves your calm and power instead. Real change comes when you back this mental shift with action. That might look like slowing down your day, disconnecting to reconnect, or setting daily intentions focused on what you want, not what you fear. It's a practice, not a quick fix. But every time you reclaim your mental space, you're rewriting your experience. You're not alone here. Countless others have felt overwhelmed, stuck, or drained, only to discover that by mastering their inner world, they changed everything. This isn't mystical fluff. It's grounded, practical freedom. So, what's your next step? Start by observing your thoughts today. See the power you hold and use it like a coach guiding a player, gentle, firm, and consistent. If this resonates, hit like and subscribe. Only I could ask you to do that with such honesty. Your journey with the Inner Well Project is just beginning, and I'm here to walk alongside you. Drop a comment. What's one mental habit you're ready to rethink? Let's do this together. The ultimate truth, your final, most powerful realization. Here's your ultimate truth. You are not just a passive observer in your life. You are the mental architect of your reality. The law of mentalism is a powerful reminder that everything you see, feel, and experience begins in the mind. This means your sense of overwhelm, confusion, or pressure is not just a circumstance, it's a creation. And if you can create it, you can uncreate it. You have the power to shape your mental world and, by extension, your life. Imagine waking up one day and truly believing that your thoughts hold the key to your freedom, that your mind isn't a prison but a tool you can learn to use with skill, patience, and kindness toward yourself. This is the invitation Hermeticism offers, not to escape reality, but to meet it with conscious awareness, to recognize the mental patterns that keep you stuck and then gently shift them. This shift isn't always easy. It asks you to face uncomfortable truths about yourself and the stories you've been telling. But on the other side of that discomfort is freedom, a freedom that's real, grounded, and lasting. So, take this knowledge and use it to break the cycle. When you catch yourself overwhelmed or lost in the noise, remember, the power to change your experience is in your mind, right now. This is the beginning of your reclamation, your mental sovereignty, your deeper self, stepping forward beyond the surface roles and masks. Thanks for being here, for doing the deep work, and for walking this path with me. If this video sparked something in you, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. What's one insight you're taking with you today? Let's keep this conversation alive, because your own inner well is a source of endless power and clarity. Thanks again for joining us.